What is good, Spuds? This is your host, Jesse White here, and you are listening to another thrilling episode of the Needless Potatoes Podcast. Happy Friday, everybody. How's your weekend going? How are you doing? Hopefully you're doing great. Hopefully your weekend's doing great. That's really all that we ask for over here at the NPP. But another thing I'll ask you, since we're friends and everything, I'll ask you to check out a really good friend of mine every Thursday night at the Deli in Norman. $5 at the door. You get to see the incredible Justin Logan. And if that's not enough, every Friday at the Lot in Ada, you can check him out as well. The show at the Deli in Norman, $5 a head. That's just so he can get home, get something to eat. You understand. The show at the Lot in Ada is free every Friday. Show starts at 9. It's 21 and up. Yep, come out and have a good time. But as far as having a good time, I had a great time with our special guest on today's episode. He is Russell Roberts. He's a pro wrestler trainee. He is the drummer for Get Busy Dying. He also does some graphic design, does a little bit of everything. And we get into a whole lot of that. On today's episode, we talk about his wrestling training over there in Mid-South. We talk about a little bit of his band, and we talk about his graphic design. So, yeah, definitely stick around, check that out. A lot of it's centered around his pro wrestling and training and just pro wrestling in general. But be sure to check him out. Check out Get Busy Dying on Instagram. You can check him out on Instagram. And if you like any of his work, be sure to let him know and hit him up. But that's about it for me, everybody. I really do appreciate you stopping in. Once again, you guys have a great one. You stay safe, and we'll see you next time and the time after that.
Hello, everybody. Once again, Spuds and other people. This is Jesse White here of the Needless Potatoes Podcast. Special guest today, we have former wrestler trainee Russ Roberts.
Hello.
He's also the drummer for Get Busy Dying and other host of projects that we're going to get into.
Too many.
There you go. Too many. He's also Marcus's roommate, right?
That is correct.
What's how long have you known Marcus for?
So I'm 33. I'm about to be 34 towards the end of the year, but I've known him since I was 15. So,
good Lord.
Yeah, a good long time.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's a really good dude.
Well, there you go. You're 33, huh? You look 16. I swear to God.
You know, everybody says that. I just got to stay hydrated and got good genes. Yeah, I appreciate that very much.
You're welcome. There you go. That's the key to immortality is water and good genes. So
lots of weed. That's
yeah, there you go. Lots of weed.
Don't take my advice though.
All right. So I mentioned the wrestling. As you know, I'm a huge wrestling fan like yourself. That's kind of what this whole thing is about. Can you get into a little bit of your history with pro wrestling? Like maybe your earliest memories of it and
yes.
You wanted to train.
Most definitely. Yeah, so I was obsessed with it ever since I was a kid. So like when WCW was starting to become like a bigger thing, that's when I started to get really into it. Wasn't too much into the WWF all that much, but WCW came about. Sting was one of my favorite wrestlers, and I was super big on him for a long time, just as a little kid. And the older I got, the more I started to become more of a fan of like the WWF stuff. Like I was really, really big into Bret Hart and stuff, and then the Attitude Era started to kick in. I started to become more of a fan of like Austin, of course, and like The Rock and Kane and all those fucking more extreme, I guess you could say, characters. And my first event, I saw Stone Cold whip JR in the middle of the ring. So it was like my first real taste of like seeing real heat like being generated in front of an actual crowd and everything. So it was a very eye-opening experience, and I fell in love with it ever since. And then ever since I was a kid, and the older I got, the more I like became more fascinated and obsessed with it, and started to learn the ins and outs of it. And I didn't know anybody at all whatsoever in the business. So it's like I found a place that was just doing shows locally, and then I would go to a couple of shows here and there, and they started offering, the opportunity to learn at that school. And that's when I took that opportunity with Mid-South and went and trained with those guys for about 6 months. And that was a really, to me, that was the most confidence building experience I've ever had in my entire life. It was great. I loved it.
Okay, so well, very cool. Real quick, I think you and I followed a very similar path. I remember Bret Hart. So as a kid, and even still today, I have a soft spot for Bret Hart. He was one of my. I remembered my. I think it was my older brother. He made fake Bret Hart glasses out of plastic form.
That's awesome.
So I mean, like, Bret Hart was the man. Back when I was a kid. So I'm about 3 years younger than you. So I barely remember pre-Attitude Era. So I remember like 94, 95. So like I remember,
nice.
Yeah, before the screw job. So when Bret Hart was the shit, I vaguely, like, one of my first memories is Bret Hart and his feud with Yokozuna.
Oh man, amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, hey, for sure. And added bonus, Yokozuna had Jim Cornette as his manager, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then let's see. And then I remember The Rock, of course, when I think that was Nation of Domination Rock.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I remember all that, and then like you, I'm not a big fan of Sting. I mean,
see, I can understand that. I think as a kid, I was just more into the fact that he wore the face paint. He had really, really poppy, vibrant colors. Same with like the Ultimate Warrior. Like I had one of those like beat 'em up buddy things that were like the stuffed like wrestlers that you could punch and they would make noises. And the only one I ever had was the Ultimate Warrior. And then I knew other people that the Sting and like all the other ones and stuff. But it's like I don't know. I was attracted to those bright poppy colors when I was a kid, and I just thought it was super cool. But yeah, there's a lot of people back in the day I used to really like. My dad was really into Ric Flair. He really liked Ric Flair, so we got to see a lot of old NWA stuff, and
Yeah, for sure, man. Ric Flair back then, and then I think it was
see, one of my favorite stables is the Four Horsemen NWA era. Like that to me is cream of the crop. They were doing things that I feel like at the time nobody else was really doing quite as much as they were doing, I guess, because they were constantly, had a promotion that was being aired and being pushed as much as the other places didn't have like people like them to push, so they could have that kind of airtime and stuff. So it's like, just to see that kind of stuff through that era and everything, I just love it. The aesthetic of it and everything, I just eat it up. I still go back and watch it today, and I still enjoy it very much. So.
A lot of people, so I think a lot of people that's caught on wrestling in the 90s. They remember a version of Ric Flair. They remember him older. They remember him maybe jobbing. They remember him, or maybe not jobbing, but losing.
Well, and just putting the younger talent over and everything.
Yeah. And they remember with his like short blonde hair, and when he's in WCW and he was elbow dropping his jacket. So they remember all that. But if you're legit like yourself, you go back and you look at like NWA era, when he's just having these just beautiful matches with just all sorts of people. You remember the Four Horsemen with the Andersons. You remember the Brainbusters. With Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson. You mean Ole? Yeah. So if you go back and look at that era, especially with the 70s and 80s version of Ric Flair, that blonde hair just ripped to shreds, great looking dude, comes out in like just these expensive suits, and he's going to tell you how he's gonna steal your girlfriend, and he's gonna beat you up.
Yeah, dude, he was just a promo machine. He'd come out, he'd just be yelling. Like I feel like that era, especially those dudes just would yell a lot. But it worked for him. You know, he did a good job at it, and it's still reverberates today.
Oh, for sure. Well, and what's funny is I don't know if you've ever seen that 30 for 30 documentary over Ric Flair.
I have
Um,
not.
so they were kind of talking about Ric Flair's impact on like sports and just culture in general. And there's a lot of like rappers, a lot of sports teams, a lot of just public figures who cite Ric Flair as their favorite wrestler because he's out there, he's talking shit, but he's wearing the nice suits and
Yeah,
the
man.
nice watches, and
No,
yeah,
I could
so,
totally see that. Yeah, and I'm sure it's like that with a lot of those guys back in the day, like Hogan, and it's like he had Mr. T running around with him for a while. I'm sure people did this. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm sure a lot of those guys catch the same thing. Probably none to the extent that Ric Flair has got it.
oh, for sure. Well, and I think if you're going to make, and a lot of people talk about what like wrestling Mount Rushmores and stuff like that, and which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't know if you can narrow it down to four, me personally, but um, Ric Flair definitely is up there. He's definitely up there with the Hogans, and then maybe later on either a Rock or an Austin.
See,
And
yeah, I could narrow it down to four, but that's just my own like four
okay,
personal favorite of all time.
who's your four personal favorites?
He would definitely be up there. It'd be Flair, it'd be Bret Hart, it'd be Dean Malenko, and then it'd be Eddie Guerrero. Some of my favorite matches. Some of my favorite matches of all time were Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero in WCW.
Okay.
Yeah, and
well, we got to pause for a second. Did you stalk me when I was a kid? Because Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero were my two favorite wrestlers, and Rey Mysterio Jr. back then.
No, I did not. But dude, I mean, how could if you actually liked wrestling and you actually paid attention to what was going on, how could you not like those dudes and what was going on?
Dude, fuck yeah! So the Malenko Guerrero classics and ECW, they're working WCW with, and then you got Chris Jericho back then.
Yeah, Jericho was awesome back then as well. I mean,
junior heavyweight Chris Jericho. Yeah.
Yep.
So. Fuck, man. Yeah, that was my favorite part of WCW was the junior. Well, I keep saying junior heavyweights, the cruiserweights. And then you had Psychosius and Juventud Guerrera.
Yeah, all this sick like lucha stuff. Like, But it.
Oh, go ahead.
La Parka, like there's another one too. Like it was super
Yeah.
stuck on him for a while just because of his getup. Like that's so sick. Just.
Oh, that whole bodysuit. Oh
yeah, dude.
Yeah, and what was Silver King was back then. Silver King actually he played Ramses in Nacho Libre. If you ever
nice. Yeah,
I've
seen that movie.
yeah. So all those dudes, man, and you he wasn't a cruiserweight, but what with Conan and that whole Latin American group organization within WCW. Like LWO was my favorite stable, I think, in WCW.
Nice. No, yeah, I could totally see why. Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I mean, yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, man. So it's kind of going back to what you had mentioned Mid-South Wrestling. What was the first show where they initiated that, hey, you want to learn this stuff, that sort of thing?
Oh man, it was like October. It might have been like 2016 or 7. I'm not really for sure exactly what the date was, but it was around then, and it was it was like the second or third show that I had been to at that point. And like at this point I didn't even know that like indie wrestling even existed in the state, but it's just so like obscure and you don't see it ever. Like I really had to dig for it for a little bit. Like you can go Google online. There was like a school in Tulsa, but there wasn't like really anything around locally that I could go like easily access. And even then, like 45, sometimes an hour and a half drive. You know what I mean? Like it's time consuming to go train for about an hour to 2 hours, and then you're spending about 3 hours traveling more. So, but I mean, you do it because you love it. And at the same time, it's just being in a ring is something. This is completely different, man. I just love it.
It gives it gives you a different feel and a different appreciation for it,
Oh, absolutely. And just like going to an actual local indie show, and if you've never been, anybody that's listening, if you've never been, go out if you can and whenever this is all cleared up, and experience one for yourself, because it'll give you a completely different outlook on what wrestling actually is. And most of the stuff that's on TV is so like fabricated to the point to where they have made a product that is that way specifically, and it's not ever going to be what you see actually at like one of these local indie shows. It's it's a different feel, it's a different approach, it's more DIY, you know, with some instances. So you get a more of a I don't know, you just get more of a homey feel to it, I guess you could say, a more welcoming.
It's more of like it's a kind of like a spiritual feel. Like, you know, you kind of get more of an organic feel, you know. And
no, yeah, absolutely, yeah, exactly.
yeah, for sure. Well, and you kind of see how much like athleticism and how much work it actually takes to put on a good show.
Yeah, and you know, you might go and you might see a guy who's, you know, he's really awesome now, but you go and you see him now, and then 5 years from now, he's on TV somewhere doing stuff that's even better than what he was doing then. So it's like you get to see people that you could actually, you know, keep up with, that you might be able to see on TV one day. You might be a fan of them before anybody else was. You know, it's just kind of searching for characters, really, that you can get into, that you can follow and stuff. And there's something out there for everybody. And there's even stuff here in the state that could probably, you know, tickle your fancy if you're looking for something.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, with I think Imperial Wrestling Revolution. I think they're are they out of business yet, or they?
From what I understand, I'm pretty sure they just completely changed their name altogether to World Class. And
that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're still doing stuff or not with everything that's going on in the current climate of things. But
For sure.
I mean, I know All Star this Sunday is doing they're doing a live stream show, and I've noticed that they've been doing a lot of like live stream shows and stuff just to keep you know, that stuff being pushed out there, which is awesome. I'm glad to see that they're still doing stuff. Glad to see other places still doing stuff and keeping busy as well, instead of just the two big leaguers at the moment.
Yeah. Well, for sure. And before we get into that, what was some of your first experiences with training and stuff? Was there, did somebody that you had, maybe kind of a local guy or somebody before they kind of transitioned into the bigger leagues, did they take you aside and say, hey, you know, why don't you try this? Or was there ever that moment, or was it maybe not even that specific moment, but was there a time that somebody took you aside and helped you out, I guess?
No, not so much prior to, but as part of training, there was a lot of guys that I got to work with that are just super nice dudes, super awesome guys. Just wanted to see everybody succeed. You know, it's like a lot of places you go into and they have like this whole like, it's even like with that, like that with music and even with art, dude, something that could be completely subjective, and there's still going to be a level of like competitiveness there that people are just going to try to pursue this, you know, pedestal of being better than other people. And I just feel like when I went in there, they just wanted to see people succeed, because I mean, it's about, you know, people working together to make a product. So I completely understand that, and it made it more welcoming and more inviting. But at the same time, there are those people in every setting, every situation that are going to be that way, that, you know, they're better than you no matter what you do. So
I got you. Well, is it did you get to work with anybody that maybe went on to do bigger things?
Let's see. Not really work with anybody. Some of the guys I worked with are still local. I will say the only person even remotely on that level that I was in the area while the guy was training and I met him once was Fuego, and he's on AEW now. So that's crazy to see. But no, not really. Like, didn't really like ever experience that. Like, hey man, you should try this. You look like. I had people around me that I would talk to about it, and they were like, you know, that was something that you would probably excel at. Something that you love, and you know enough about it already. And it's like, I really wanted to pursue it. It was something that I most definitely did not think that I could do, and I still don't think I could do it. And I would like to give it another shot eventually. But dude, it is so taxing on the body, and I don't think that people realize as much. And as physically deteriorating as it is, it can be mentally as well, because you're second guessing everything that you're doing in certain situations just to make sure you don't get hurt and you don't hurt other people. And it's just it's a lot. There's a lot to it.
I gotcha. Yeah. Well, it's working together. That's one thing. Being a wrestling fan, being in, since I was probably 4 or 5, you get it's weird because if you like Marvel, or if you like, comics, or you like Star Wars or Star Trek, or if you're a fan of these other, communities, nobody ever tells you that stuff's fake. But whenever you tell people you're a pro wrestling fan, they're like, "Oh, isn't that stuff fake?" Well, yeah, like,
immediately out the gate, and they'll let you know. And if you could tell them that they'll remind you just to make sure that you do know.
Yeah,
it's an ongoing battle. But yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, even in grade school, elementary school, middle school, high school, all the college, even now, people ask me, "Hey, what are you doing? Or what are you doing this week?" And I'm like, I'll probably go back and watch the WWE Network, maybe watch the matches. Isn't that stuff fake though? Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's not fake, but it's a work, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying. It's two people working together to create a product.
Yeah. And some people like to call it performance art. I will not say that. I don't think that it is so much performance art as it is more like something more based around being a sport, but it is a sport entertainment. And the whole finality of it is that it's entertainment. And if you're there and you're enjoying what you're watching, then it did its job. That's all it's supposed to do. You're consuming the product regardless. Even if you're there just to shit on it, you're going to consume the product regardless. So,
well, it's kind of like one of the things of if wrestling, or you attend wrestling, and if by the end of the night you don't want to stab one of the Hills or one of the bad guys, then they didn't do their job. It's good versus evil, and it's played out in front of you. And there's a lot of athletics that go with it. There's a lot of a lot of physicality, like you alluded to, and and you think about now, it's more people come out and they'll say, well, it's a work. It's we're not really mad at each other, but whatever. But before that, before Vince McMahon kind of offered that, back in like the 60s and 70s, even 50s, and guys with like Bruno Sammartino and Harley Race, and these were legit tough guys. And even back in that day, for some of the people that are listening that aren't aware, you would have fans that tried to attack bad guy wrestlers, or tried to, yeah.
I can tell you from experience from working security for like Mid-South during a few shows. There was a guy that I got to work with who was basically, his character was Persian, and he would come out and he would have like the whole stick, the whole Persian get up and everything. And people are just yelling like Muslim obscenities and stuff, just like pure heat from the get, just absolute pissed. And he's just like calling them white trash, and just getting them even further. And it's great. But I also got to see people swipe at him, and I had to get between people, and it's crazy the amount of like rage that it can generate out of some people. But those people are marks, and you need those people. You need those people there. They're gonna buy it up. They're gonna eat it up every chance they get.
Oh, for sure. Well, and kind of going back,
that's how the
it's good for people. Oh, what was that? You still there?
Hello? You all good?
Yeah, I'm still here. Was that me or was that you? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you still there?
Okay. Yeah. Did you drop or something?
Oh, no. That was I heard you say, well, hold on, and then, or something.
Yeah, I was like, are you still there? Didn't hear
anything. Okay.
Yeah,
well, I was there. All right. Well, anyways, but yeah, so we'll pick up from here. I'll edit the rest of this out, but pick up from here. But yeah, so if you the idea is it's good versus evil. So if you it's like seeing Darth Vader, or it's like seeing Khan from Star Trek, or it's like seeing Doctor Doom from the Fantastic Four. It's like you want to see these guys, these bad guys that have they've cheated to win, or they've put the odds against the good guy, the face, and they screwed him over, and they jumped him, and they beat him up, and their cronies have beat him up, and it's like you want to see this guy lose so bad that you're willing to attend the show live or buy it on pay-per-view. And then when the face, or our hero, the good guy, when he finally wins, it makes it that much better. It's a great example of that. And to their credit, and we can transition into this, but WWE isn't man, a lot of their recent stuff, it's just not good. But in my opinion, one of the and I guess it's easy to shit on those guys, but one of the things that really kind of brought me back into wrestling, because I was in and out of wrestling the last few years, but one thing that really pulled me back in was that feud between Daniel Bryant and Kofi Kingston, that kind of built up, and then that, which, by the way, I love Daniel Bryant's Captain Planet gimmick.
Yeah, that was a good heel gimmick. It's
yeah,
easy.
and
I feel like it was too easy for him, though. You know what I mean? It's like too easy to go off on that stuff with him.
Dude, like I geeked out over the fucking wood and hemp belt. Like I thought that was fucking bad. That
thing was absurd. That was absolutely one of the most absurd looking titles I've ever seen.
Dude, that was fucking it.
Not quite as absurd as the Fiend's title, but
or a Jeff Hardy's belt, and what was it, Impact?
Wow. Yeah.
But dude, I thought that was so badass. And then when he finally, and he was a good heel, so he was a good bad guy. But when Kofi Kingston finally beat him, and he got to be the first black WWE champion, it meant that much more, because you seen Kofi struggle, and he finally he was about to get it, and then he finally beats Daniel Bryan, and and then he wins, and big celebration, and then 6 months later WWE jobs him out to Brock Lesnar. But
that quick too. But at the same time, they got to protect what makes them money, and he makes them more money than Kofi does, unfortunately. And they're not so much about making like characters believable and likable anymore, as much as they're about making characters who make them money. That's pretty much all it is. And when you have a product that does that, money becomes the forefront of everything. So that's all they're going to be marketing for. They want your money.
Yeah, well, and we can kind of that. Before we do, you had mentioned off air that you had 2 dark matches, and for the people that are listening, can you describe what a dark match is, and can you kind of go into those 2 matches?
So for the level of what I did, it was only the dark matches were there basically as a level of assessment to tell how far that you got. And the first one I did was just like really simple. I got no shine. It was a typical international. I took the bumps, took everything, roll up, got the pin. That's the win. That's just to tell how far I got. Now the second one, which was just absolutely insane to me. It was a day that the trainer was not there. So somebody else was there that was basically making matches at the end of the training session. And I made a match with the guy, and he wanted to do some things that I had never done before. One of the things that he wanted to do was a drop kick. I'd never taken an actual drop kick before at any point up until this point. And we went through the motions of everything. I take the bumps and everything. And as soon as I take that drop kick, I didn't take the bump properly. I actually fell on my arm, and it's my fault because I didn't take the bump. But when I fell, my body weight pinched it on, in between the mat and everything, and I just pretty much eviscerated my left arm, right in my elbow, one of the ligaments, and it was. After that, I was out for a cool minute. Like I couldn't move, couldn't use it for a little bit, couldn't bend it. couldn't do anything. Then have to like slowly learn how to reuse it again, and then like try to work it back up to full strength. But that second match, wish we could go back and do it again. But you know, it is what it is, and I learned a lot from it. So I learned that I was
okay.
at that point in time, I learned that I was not ready to be doing the stuff that I was being asked to do, which at the same time, it's like you're never going to learn unless you don't do it. So I just went ahead and did it anyways. I don't regret anything. It is what it is.
Well, what happens after that? Because and for some of the people that don't know, a lot of wrestlers they'll go over the matches. They'll like say, "Hey, I want to do this," or, "Well, how about you'll knock me to the outside, and then I'll go get heat, or I'll go and like piss off the fans or whatever." And then, but what happened after that moment? After you landed on your arm?
Okay, so after that moment, that was just one of the spots in that match. After that moment that I had hit, like, my arm hurt. I did not realize what the level of how bad it was, and I still just went through the motions of everything. So yeah, I laid there for a second. Guy taunted to the crowd. He was doing what he was supposed to do. I'm selling, but for real, selling. And crawled to the ropes. He gets up on like the bottom rope, and I like you feed into stuff from the left, so I'm coming off the right side of the ring and I'm going to the center, and he's in the center ropes, and he steps off of the bottom one and like starts taunting to the crowd a little bit, and the crowd only consists of other people who are training with us that day and the people who were teaching us and stuff. And as he steps down, I just get the schoolboy 1, 2, 3 roll up, powder out. It was a no shine dark match. I didn't really get to do anything other than just take bumps and get beat up, but loved it.
Well, yeah, man, for sure. There you go. So, and then kind of after that, after you realized you were hurt, was it just kind of well, hey, my bad, type of thing, or was it? Well, you had mentioned that it was your fault, but was it?
No, yeah, I took full responsibility for it because it wasn't 100% my fault, and
Yeah.
I had people checking in on me, asking me if I was going to come back, but I didn't know what the timetable was that I was going to be able to come back. And by the time that I was prepared to come back, that place had shut down, and it made me really sad. And it was only because it was located at the where Crossroads was, and it was called Plaza del Mayor, and that eventually ended up shutting down, so they had to shut down.
Okay, I thought you were going to go into a Taz commentary, gimmick there. You're going to retire from wrestling and. No, okay. Well, but speaking of Taz, he is back in AEW, and for those of you listening, AEW is the competitor. Well, I get not really. It's the second biggest wrestling organization in North America, comparable to the WWE. And we can kind of get into AEW and then maybe a little bit of the WWE. But are you liking the stuff with Taz and Brian Cage? Because I know that when we were messaging earlier, you wanted to talk about Jericho and Cage.
Yeah, really like the stuff that Taz is doing with Cage. I really like that he busted out the FTW title and gave it to him. That is an ode to people like me who actually gave a shit back in the day to pay attention to stuff like that. And I won't lie, I marked out a little bit whenever I saw that title, and Cage is awesome at what he does. I don't really care for him so much as I care for Taz being his manager. I just feel like it's a good fit. It's a good stick. And I hope that, they're doing what they can to protect him, especially with that last match with Mox and everything. But I just I hope they do make the right choices. Don't completely start, I just want to see him get a push. Don't get buried under some people that don't need to get pushed. But at the same time, it's not my call. So see how it goes.
Well, and for those of that are listening that don't know, what is like a push, and what does it mean to bury somebody?
So a push would be like a guy that you're taking and you're going to give him a run of some significant wins, or he's going to be involved in some type of story arc that's going to end up putting him into the limelight, that he is, the better guy of somebody who is probably the best in the company at the time, or somebody who is close to being the best. And burying somebody pretty much is just taking somebody and they're, you see their worth, you think that they're great, that they're amazing, and the company, whoever it is at the time, wants, if it's involved in a story arc or whatever is going on personally backstage, you don't know what all involves with it, what all entails, but they will just take somebody and just completely basically bury them under the dirt, smear them any way they can, I guess, to some extent. Not completely, but, just take somebody who doesn't necessarily need to be in that limelight and put them over someone who should be in that limelight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of, I guess burying would be like if well, kind of on the subject of Brian Cage, is they're not, to me, like Baron is, they're not using him like they should. And it's kind of like they're kind of...
No, Taz threw in the towel with that match. And to me, that's just a way of making him still look really strong and just not burying him completely. It's like he didn't lose. Technically, he didn't lose. Taz threw in the towel. It wasn't by his own choice or ability.
Yeah, he didn't
like
tap
that.
out or anything.
Exactly. So he still looks strong. He still looks like he can go back and compete. Still have another shot at the title and everything. But it's just a matter of how they go about it and when they're going to stick that title on him, or if not, I don't know. Mox is so consistently good that it's hard to say that anybody deserves it more than he does, because I honestly don't think anybody does. But
well, he's I think with it, we had spoke about Brian Cage. Brian Cage, of course, he came from what was Impact, and then Impact Wrestling, and then he was on the Indies, and then so for those of you that are unaware, Brian Cage is a very muscular man. He's very just jacked to the gills. He looks like a guy. He looks like a pro wrestler. Like, if you've seen that guy, you would say.
Stereotypical, yeah. Like, if there was a prototype for how you want somebody to look as a pro wrestler, that would probably be the Vince McMahon recipe right there.
Yeah, for sure. And then, but we have, you have Brian Cage, you have Jon Moxley, who used to be Dean Ambrose in the WWE. You have Chris Jericho. You have Cody Rhodes, the son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. So you have those guys, and I think Jungle Boy's kind of, in a few years he'll be that guy too, but really just those four, maybe if I'm forgetting somebody, forgive me, but maybe those four guys are really who you would want to put the title on anyways. I think those I
would say yes, or somebody who is going to generate enough heat to make you hate them that you're going to feel super stoked about whoever takes it off of him. You know what I mean? Like, maybe someone like MJF, who's
well, and
still undefeated supposedly, but
well, and the stuff with him, MJF is he's a classic heel. He's going to come out, he's going to shit on whoever, whatever. Well, whenever the AEW was traveling and whenever they travel in the future, he's going to come in, he's going to shit on Chicago or Dallas or Oklahoma,
whatever,
wherever.
He's in,
and he's going to insult you, and he's great at what they call drawing heat. So drawing heat is just basically making you hate him. You're mad at him, so he's going to make people hate him so much that they're going to want to see him lose. Kind of what you had said. Who in your opinion, if you kind of had a fantasy booking, who would you want to put the title on, and against whom? Like, storyline wise, who gets that title again and against who?
Well, I mean, if you really want to get, dude, I could go on for a while, but there's too many ways to look at it. I honestly feel like if you're going to go about the right way, you're going to put, if they got to take somebody like MJF and make him into the heel that he should be, and generate enough hate to where people start liking him a little bit more, probably, I would put it on him. And then I would have someone like, maybe Kenny Omega or somebody who at the moment isn't in that like same talks about taking the title, but down the line could be in the contention for taking the title. You know, it's people working their way. Scorpio Sky is another one. He's the king of AEW Dark at the moment, and he's on a winning streak. And there's multiple people right now that are on streaks and stuff that could eventually get to that point. But I honestly, eventually, I would like to see Omega have that title. I don't know if it's going to be face or heel version of Omega, but either way, I will appreciate it regardless. I would have to say MJF and then, him drop it to Kenny, even if it is the heel version of Kenny Omega, which would be awesome.
Right. Well, yeah, for sure. Well, and I think for me, I have MJF too, but I would really like to. I really like that storyline between MJF and Cody, and in my opinion, I think it's either Jericho, Cody, and Brian Cage, kind of the top three. They're kind of AEW's top three wrestlers, but Scorpio Sky is an extremely talented dude. So is the guy in Private Party. He's the
Beretta?
He's the other
Trent?
dude. Trent, yeah.
Yeah, he's really good too. I mean, both of those guys are good, but Trent, he's really good.
Well, and kind of going to that, you have the Best Friends, which for me that's kind of a goofy team name, but
dude, it works.
How's the wrestlers? Yeah, Chuck Taylor and Trent. Spacing on his last name.
Beretta. I thought it was Beretta.
Beretta? Was it?
Yeah. I could be wrong. Yeah. Let me look at this.
Okay, we're gonna come back to it, but for me, like I think maybe Cody and then eventually Jungle Boy, Jack Evans.
Yes, it's Beretta.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Apologies. Sorry,
it's all good.
Beretta. Yeah. But I think eventually Jungle Boy, because for me he's kind of like that. Well, he and MJF are the next wave of wrestlers, kind of homegrown talent that AEW could showcase in the next few years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even a guy like Luchasaurus, could kind of be in that bill as well.
I would even throw in Orange Cassidy. There's several. Guevara. I would even throw Guevara out there.
I disagree on the Orange Cassidy. I just never. I don't.
You don't like his gimmick?
No. I mean, I guess it's cool, but it's kind of like it.
No, I understand completely. I know a lot of people who don't like it, and I just feel like eventually it's going to evolve into something that people are really going to love. But at the same time, I can see how most people don't enjoy it.
Well, and but credit to the guy when and I've seen his stuff on the indies, and when he's actually able to like wrestle and stuff, it's great. I mean, I just wish he would do more of that and not the hands in the pockets stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's like if you really love strawberry ice cream, you can have too much strawberry ice cream, and it's kind of so
That's true.
It's cool. Like it's cool when you first saw it, and then it's kind of like, all right, well, we kind of want you to start doing some stuff. But that would be cool. His stuff with Jericho right now currently is Chris Jericho is I'm a fan of just because I'm a fan. Well, when I was younger, I was more of a fan of Chris Jericho. Now, for me, Chris Jericho just seems like he's at the tail end of his career, and he's just kind of like whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just doing what he can. I don't know. His commentary work has been really good. I wish he would eventually get to the point where he's just doing that all the time, or he's like managing someone and pushing them as the mouthpiece or something. But yeah, I totally agree with what he's saying. Like he is. I don't want to say it's obvious, but you could tell. Like it's taking a toll, man, and eventually he's going to be done.
Well, he might fuck around and get beat up by Sebastian Bach. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's so crazy, dude. He's like trying to get him to do a sing off with him. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, that was something. I was like, okay, well, I guess All
jump on
right.
Twitter and saw that whole feud, and I was like, wow, did not expect this.
Yeah, it's I'm not a Skid Row. I've never been a Skid Row fan, so I mean, I'm not a Fozzy fan either. So
I
I
can
mean, but
understand.
yeah, it's just shit music. It's just not good. He's just it's just they're just not a good band. I mean, I'm sorry, Chris Jericho, you're a hell of a wrestler, and you're probably the wrestler of the 2000s. But God, your band sucks.
They're better
They,
than what they were. I'll admit that. But yeah, I
oh
agree.
man, okay, so I think I was in. I can't remember where I was, but I was man. It might have been. I might have been still in high school, but I remembered somebody was watching that video of I don't even know what song it is, but it's of a guy. He's in a wheelchair and he like gets out of the wheelchair and army crawls up to like a flight of stairs in like an office building, and it's like it's really bizarre, but there's a point where he's like army crawling up these stairs, and Chris Jericho and the entire band they're like singing on the stairs like next to him. It's yeah, it's something. I think he was still in WWE at that point, so this was probably 10 years ago, maybe. Uh 12 years ago. It's it was
Wowee.
yeah, well, so but speaking of Chris Jericho, you kind of wanted to touch on that. What were some of your what's some of the things you like about Chris Jericho currently, and then what's some of the things you didn't?
Currently, his promo work. I mean, his promo work is great. It's just he just does it to us. You know, you see people put a certain amount of effort into doing something, and he just has this level of effort that is so consistent, and he sustains it all the time that it's just that's what makes it more believable. You know, that's what people want to see. It makes it more enjoyable and everything. And it's just I admire consistency. I feel like more than anything at this point in my life, whenever I do watch it now, and then you know, you could watch a product like I watched. Unfortunately, I went through the daunting task of watching Raw today just to see what has been happening lately. And first match I liked. It was pretty good. It was Cruz versus MVP, you know, for the United States Championship. Not bad. Rest of the show was not good. It just they're just turning it into something that's just not watchable. Like the whole underground thing is just oh man, it's just so hard to watch.
So and then I guess transition to WWE here. It was, let's see, I'm trying to think of the point where I just was like, what the fuck is this? Man, it might have been WrestleMania. It might have been right before WrestleMania. It was like at that point I was like, what the fuck's even going on? Like what the fuck is this? And when they had the cinematic matches, that was kind of like the one with AJ and oh good.
Yeah, you have one that's decent, you know, the one with AJ and Taker, and then you just start churning out all these ideas just left and right. Like you guys I don't know, they just like bite so hard on certain things to just go with it just because a few people like it, and it's just I don't know. I honestly did not enjoy it. I don't know. I know other people did enjoy it. It's just I don't know. It's just kind of hard to watch.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I don't see how anyone could like that because it was the Boneyard match between Taker and AJ. That was cool. Okay, and then you had the club in there, and that was pretty cool. Biker Taker was it was cool back in the day, and then it
Biscuit Taker
wasn't cool. What was that?
I said Lip Biscuit Taker.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
yeah, that was well, okay, yeah, but that era of Taker Undertaker was when you're a kid, it was cool. As you get older, you're kind of like okay, but it was cool seeing Biker Taker in the Boneyard match. After that, though, oh man, it was especially the Money in the Bank match was
Yeah.
Well, I know it wasn't.
I completely forgot about that, and you reminded me about it. So now I have to rethink about that, and it hurts just thinking about it.
They had,
Like,
yeah.
none of it was good. None of it was good.
Well, okay. So, for those of you that don't know, just watch that match, Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank, and it's so they essentially kill Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio. They throw him off of like because what it was is they okay, but yeah. So sorry everybody. My cat knocked my router off the table. Anyways, but yeah. So they so essentially they kill Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black, and then they showed up on TV. What was it, two weeks later? Because we're just WWE's just trolling at this point. So.
Oh yeah, they even I'm pretty sure they even stated, oh yeah, there was a small roof on the other side, so they landed on top of that. No, they did not die. It's like, oh, you have to have a disclaimer at the very beginning of the next episode.
Yeah, like people are going to be tuning in, like, well, R.I.P. Rey Mysterio.
Actually die? Yeah. Oh man, they're really dead.
I seen him get thrown off the roof, and he must have died. Wrestling's real. No, yeah, that was what got me was that in the Money in the Bank ladder match, they had in the Money in the Bank, they had a ring with a ladder in it on top of the building, which why? I mean, I guess I don't understand, but like, why not just have the Money in the Bank or the briefcase suspended like above the roof? I don't know.
It's like somebody plucked a kid from the 90s at this point and was like, write a scene. write a plot for us, and then we're gonna roll with it. It's like something that I feel like I would have thought of when I was 12, and I'd be like, "Oh man, that is super cool. That's such a great idea." And it's you were saying it out actually in front of you, and it's the worst thing that you could possibly think of.
So we're gonna have a ring on top of the roof, and then there's gonna be a ladder inside the ring. And the only time that they use a ring in this wrestling match is when they go climb up the ladder to get the briefcase. So, but Otis, he had won the men's title, and then I mean, you might have to fill me in, but did he do anything with it? I know he didn't become champion, but
not to my I think he did, but I'm not really for sure, man. I haven't kept up with the E in so long. Like, today was the first day that I've actually like gave an attempt to watching it, just because I wanted to see MVP wrestle. So,
well, I mean, come on now, yeah, MVP's the man.
Yeah,
but it was so, and then Asuka, of course, she not really cashed it in, but she traded Becky Lynch her title, but then Becky Lynch was pregnant and was gonna leave anyways. So I guess it's and then now it's they Extreme Rules about a few weeks ago, Rey Mysterio came back from the dead to get blinded,
but to get his eye ripped out.
Because Seth Rollins is crazy now, I guess. I don't know.
He's a cult leader.
Oh, okay. That's
he's calling himself the Monday Night Messiah, so he's like hella religious or something. I'm not even sure what is even going on there, but seems blasphemous to me.
I don't think that WWE even knows. They're just like, sure, whatever you want to do. I'm just gonna say, he's no Ministry of Darkness Undertaker. So,
oh, man. Yeah, the best.
I mean, when Undertaker crucified Stone Cold, that's when my mom came in and she was like, "All right, you got to turn this off," because we weren't super, but she was like, "Hey, we're not going to watch a man get crucified on national TV."
I was lucky enough that I had a TV in my own room and I wouldn't have to worry about my mom like coming and seeing what I'm watching or anything. So
well, it was that moment. Right. Well, it was the replay of that, And then it was also when another part of when she happened to walk in is when Rikishi was giving the stink face to somebody, and she's like, and she's like, what? And I was like, you don't understand, Mom. He's fat and he's got like a man thong, and that's his move. And he's so and he dances.
She just
So.
saw those primo cheeks and got offended.
Yeah, those just big brown, golden brown cheeks just at man cheeks. So it's yeah, that was my my history with wrestling. But what for you, what was some of your favorite memories of like older WWF? Because you said you weren't into the Attitude Era too much, but well, into WWF, but of course you got into it later with the Rock and Stone Cold. What were some of your favorite memories from past WWE?
Well, I would say there's too many to choose from, but a lot of the Bret Hart HBK matches, because there was real heat there in some of those matches, and I'm talking like prior to the screw job and everything. Like you could see like there was obviously something going on. You can tell it from the way both. If you watch those dudes, like even if you go back and now and you watch like some of their other matches compared to those matches and stuff, like you can tell there's something there. And I like watching those just because there is, I feel like, a certain level of animosity to outdo one another, and so they just like pushed each other to a different level. But those matches were sick. I gotta say, when I like really like first started to get into it, I forgot exactly what game it was, but it had Doink in it, and I don't know why. I just thought that was such a ridiculous like character to have as a wrestler. So I love Doink, all the Doink and Dink stuff. I don't know, like there's a lot of dudes I just like watching, like Vader, Bam Bam, Mr. Perfect is another one. There's like nothing like very in particular I could point out. I'll say one that I want to. It might have been the first WrestleMania, or it might have been the second one. It was at Trump Tower, and I just remember. Let's say it was Macho Man was wrestling for the title, and it was against DiBiase, I believe, and that was like one of the first like pay-per-views I remember watching, and that shit stuck with me for so long. I just remember that was like a whole nother level of what it was compared to watching it at the time, every week, or what you were seeing on TV. It was just
Yeah.
heightened amount of intensity with it when it came to wrestling, and it was just a different vibe. Like seeing Trump like that young at WrestleMania, like it just go back and watch it, man. It's a time blast, it's a time warp, it's a trip.
Well, and President Trump is the only president in U.S. history to ever receive a Stone Cold Stunner.
Oh yeah, and didn't he shave Vince's hair at one point? I'm pretty sure that.
Yeah. It was a battle of the billionaires, and it was Bobby Lashley versus Umaga, and and Vince got his head shaved, and Stone Cold gave Donald Trump a stunner. And Donald Trump is in the WWE Hall of Fame. So
only president.
Yeah. So and that's no bullshit. That like you can YouTube when Trump got a stunner, and you can YouTube whenever he was entered in the WWE Hall of Fame. So that's
you can do it. You can.
That's
do
something that exists. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's all you little girls and boys out there. I mean, dream big, because it can happen to you. But real quick though, what's some of the other projects you got in the works?
Currently, right now, say that I currently have been under quarantine for nearly the past 2 weeks. Tomorrow is my last day, so I'm ready to get out of that. We'll be going back to work in a few days, and we've been working on. Before this, we were recording. We were working on recording for Get Busy Dying. So, that's in the works. So hopefully, we can get some stuff hammered out and get it turned out here pretty soon, so we can, show everybody what we're working on, what to vibe to. And I got always working on art stuff. Got ready to start, pushing the t-shirt game a little bit more, start making more shirts and stuff. Thinking about starting my own t-shirt line and everything, just with my art and stuff on it. And I got some solo music that I'm working on with Lava Piranha, so keep an eye out for that stuff as well.
Very cool. All right, man. Well, kind of wrapping up here. Why don't you go ahead and plug Get Busy Dying and then your art page.
All right. Check Gizzy. Let me try that. Check Get Busy Dying on most social media platforms. We have Instagram, Facebook, we have Twitter. You can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and all my art stuff. You can check it out at Russ Napalm on Instagram. All kinds of stuff on there, all kinds of fun stuff. We got videos, everything you can think of, animation, cartoons.
Very cool. Hell yeah. Well, all right, man. Well, I appreciate you doing this again, man. It's very cool. I like you, huge fan of pro wrestling. I could never find the time to train, not time, but never find an opportunity to train. And part of me still wants to, but it's maybe after the
quarantine. If you don't even consider wrestling, you should consider managing or even
that would that'd be cool. Making the cutting a promo on the fans and getting that heat. I don't even have to get beat up, so so that works too. No,
exactly.
did a real quick back in middle school, we used to wrestle, quote unquote, on the playground, and we would just beat the shit out of each other. And I nearly was paralyzed because some kid hit me with a pile driver in the sandbox, and he had threw a pile driver on me in the sandbox, and from like an inch or two to the right, I think it was about 2 inches to the right, was a wooden plank. So had he nailed me on that wooden plank, it would have
oh man.
so as like a 8-year-old, that happens. You're just like, oh, fun. But later on, you look back and you're like, oof.
We had a makeshift ring, and I would throw around my brother and all the neighborhood kids because I was the largest one. So I got to experience that as well.
You were the big show back then, just
pretty much.
There you go. Hell yeah. Well, all right, man. Well, once again, Russ, I really appreciate you sitting down talking with me again. It's
no problem, man. Anytime.
There's not a lot of sophisticated wrestling fans out there. It's a lot of at my work. It's either at my work. I'm not going to say the guy's name, but he's really big into the New Day and AJ Styles, and that's about it.
That's the extent. Yeah, no, I understand. That's that's the only product that people know sometimes. So at least they have that.
I guess so, and it's and he's trying to tell me that the New Day is one of the best tag teams in the history. And I'm like, okay, well, let's not get crazy here. So, anyways, but yeah. So, kind of wrapping up here. You can follow this podcast on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram. You probably already are listening to it on Spotify, and you can go over to Stitcher, YouTube, wherever. If you like the show, please give us a positive review. Let us know what you like. If you didn't like anything, please let me know so Russ can give you a DDT. And that's it. No, I'm just kidding. But feel free to shoot us a message on Instagram, on Facebook. You can email us at needlesspotatoespodcast@gmail.com. And fun fact, this podcast name is a wrestling term, Needless Potato. So There you go. Came full circle. It's actually potato in wrestling is whenever you legitimately punch somebody. So it's I was listening to a Jim Cornette interview on my lunch break at work a few months ago. Well, I say a few months ago, last year, and I heard the term and I thought like, oh, all right, that's pretty cool. So
That's awesome.
yeah, worked out, man. But all right, yeah, there you go, origin story. But all right, Russ. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get off here, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, buddy. Take it easy.